Double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. When shall we freely say, thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hard is done, when the battle's lost and won, upon the heath there to meet.
And here, Watson, if I'm not very much mistaken, is our next client. Come.
Which one of you gentlemen is Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
I am, and this is my colleague, Dr. Watson. And whom do I have the honour of addressing?
I am the King of Nova Alba.
Surely, I've seen you before.
I think not. It's my first time in London. Although I did pass by your door yesterday to get the perfect spy of the time it would take to get here from my hotel.
Ah, that must be it. And you say you are the King of Nova Alba?
Nova Alba, that violent fastness in the North Atlantic. The man before us had become king of a power struggle left its predecessor, King Duncan, murdered, and all the suspects of the crime fled or gone to exile.
Nova Alba is a country which is much misunderstood. I've been on the throne for 10 difficult years, but my country is now so at peace that I was able to go to Rome to meet the Pope. I've never yet been crowned king. I went to meet the Pope to ask him to perform my coronation, but Nova Alba is a Roman Catholic land.
And what was his response to your request?
He declined my request, stating that I was the prime suspect in the killing of King Duncan.
And what was your response to that?
When I asked how I might clear my name to his satisfaction, he said that I should set up a court of Alban noblemen to try me. If they find me innocent, he will come to Nova Alba and crown me king. I would like you to investigate the killing of King Duncan and then present your findings to the court.
You make yourself very plain, Your Majesty. And? Did you kill King Duncan?
No, sir, I did not.
And was the Pope unpersuaded by your comment to that effect?
When a man is killed in his host's house, and as a result the host acquires the man's lands, titles and fortune, suspicion against the host is a very natural reaction.
Does anyone else know of this plan?
No, sir. I discussed it with His Holiness, and he suggested your name himself.
Tell me about the night of Duncan's death.
I thought my life had reached its zenith when King Duncan came to my castle. He just made me Thane of Cawdor for my part in defeating a Norwegian invasion. He came with his 2 sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, and with another nobleman, Banquo, who had also played a major part in the invasion, and with Banquo's son, Fleance. After much revelling, we retired to bed at midnight. It was a tempestuous night, and I felt restless. I went for a walk around the castle to soothe my nerves. I came across Banquo and Fleance. Banquo gave me a ring which he said was a gift from the king to my wife. "What's there? Not yet at rest," he said. "The king's abed. He hath been in unusual pleasure, and sends forth great largesse to your offices. With this diamond he greets your wife withal." I cursed the day I took this ring. My valet found it in my pocket the next day, and people assumed that I had either taken it from the king in a struggle or robbed it when we discovered his body. Banquo, Fleance and I talked for a spell, and then we retired to bed. The next day, we found King Duncan's room as the fleshes. The king lay dead in a pool of blood.
So who was in the castle the night of the king's death?
The castle had ramparts, an inner courtyard, and a central fortified tower where the most senior people slept. The porter controlled access to the tower. Apart from the porter, the only other people in the tower were the king's 2 sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, Banquo and Fleance, and my wife and I. Everybody else slept in rooms built into the ramparts. Outside the ramparts, there was a moat crossed by a drawbridge and approached by an avenue of beech trees.
So, unless an intruder got into the castle and escaped undetected, killer was one of these people.
That is so. The ground level rooms were used for storage and had arrow slits for windows, so an intruder as killer is unlikely. Shortly after the death of the king, the Norwegians invaded again, We beat them back, but not before the castle and most of its grounds were largely ruined.
Tell me about these people.
Well, Malcolm and Donalbain were loyal, dutiful sons. Banquo is, or was, the same age as me, a noble soul and a fine warrior. Clarence was 14 and a bright, charming lad.
Where are these people now?
My wife is no longer with us. Malcolm and Donalbain fled to England. We had heard that they were mustering a rebel army, but nothing was ever heard of them. Banquo and Clarence also fled soon afterwards.
So, what is there for me to investigate? You've been on the throne for 10 years. Your political rivals, and hence the possible perpetrators of the crime, have fled. Your wife is no longer with us. The castle and its environs, which might have given me some clues to the events, no longer exist.
For my people, I need the affirmation of His Holiness. I will do all a man can do to clear my name. He who dares do more is none.
You make yourself very plain. How long are you in London for?
I am staying at the Langham Hotel, although I may have to change my quarters, as my sleep is continuously disturbed by protesters in Portland Place. If I do move, I will send you my contact details.
Protesters? What are they protesting about?
Oh, I haven't given the matter much thought, but there seems to be one protest after another marching past.
I shall look into the matter. I shall require the ring that your associate General Banquo gave you on the night of the killing.
Well, how may this ring give you clues 10 years after the events of which we've spoken? I shall not sleep while Mr. Holmes doth investigate the crime that I have just described to you. I shall return in the morning to hear of your progress on this disposition, good sir.
His Majesty is not the only person in London with a lively interest in who killed his predecessor. I did think to tax him with this document when he was here. I thought I might learn more if I did not. Read you the section marked in red, good doctor. It's written the same style that the king used when he quoted his associate, Lord Banquo.
Wife of Thane of Cornwall. Alack, they're awake, and 'tis not done. The attempt not the deed confounds us. Hark, I laid their daggers ready. He could not miss them. Had he not resembled my father who slept, I had done it. Enter Thane of Cornwall. My husband, Thane of Cornwall. I have done the deed. Did thou not hear a noise? Where did you get this? Whoever wrote this is accusing the present king of Duncan's murder.
I found it in our letterbox yesterday morning, marked for our attention. I know nothing more about it other than that it was delivered by hand, as there was neither stamp nor postmark on the envelope.
So what motivates whoever wrote this accusatory drama?
Someone wants to discredit the present king and trailed him here to do so.
So someone else closely linked with another Alban court to track the king to our doorstep.
That is so. This play covers the same events as those just described by the present king. So the victory in battle over the Norwegians, the visit of King Duncan to Dunsinane Castle, the revelling till late at night, the encounter between present king Banquo and his son on the castle ramparts, and the discovery of the king's body in the morning.
Are there differences between this and the king's account?
There are differences. As you heard, what you read there portrays the killing as having been carried out by the present king, goaded on by his now deceased wife. There are other differences too. In this version, agents of the present king kill Lord Alba, Lord Banquo, and departing from the implausible to the impossible, his son Fleance apparently takes to the skies to flee. Banquo cries, "Fly, fly, good Fleance, fly!" His last words before he's horribly slain.
So which version of events do you believe?
Present king is putting his throne at risk by committing himself to this trial. He could just have remained on the throne and allowed the suspicion to carry over him.
So what makes you the person who wrote this document?
His presence in London must be unknown to the king, for him to trail the king here to see where he was going. You'll notice I deduced that the king had been here previously to this evening when he was here. He was here yesterday morning. This other party must be a man of education to be writing in the extravagant style of this play. He must wish the present king ill.
So what's your next move?
I cannot avoid the conclusion that the murderer of King Duncan is in London. We have this play, we have the present king, we have armies of unidentified marchers in London. That covers all the suspects. I should look again into the matter tomorrow morning. Thank you for rescuing me, Watson. I'd just gone out to get newspapers early this morning when this beauty pounced. I'm not trying to beat him in a battle on my own.
My army service pistol has never been bested.
Who are you? Are you Lord Banquo?
How do you know that?
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I know what other men do not.
What do you want with me?
I'm going to ask you the same
I
question.
came here to tell you to keep your dirty hands up my son.
Fleance?
Oh, I'm unsurprised you know his name.
Only because I know you are Lord Banquo.
I follow Fleance here, so I know you know him.
Sir, I know you have a son. I don't know where he is or what he looks like. Why do you think I should know him?
My son has a taste for irregular company, which I abominate. He's been behaving very strangely over the last few days. I followed him to your door, and I saw him put something through your letterbox. Later, I saw you come out of the house, take the letter out of the box, and go back inside. So I know you know him.
Sir, I received an anonymous document. Anonymous means I do not know who it was from. I certainly did not know it was from your son. Now, what do you know about the death of King Duncan of Nova Alba?
I've been spoken about that for 10 years. What's it got to do with you?
Sir, with a prisoner who answers the question.
Very well. There's no much to tell. I am from Alba. 10 years ago, we defeated the Norwegians in battle. I went to Dunsinane Castle as a guest of one of the heroes of the Battle of Conan. I went with my son, Fleance. We revelled till late and then retired to the central fortified part of the castle, to which only we were permitted access. During the night, there was a violent storm. I went for a walk around the castle and met my son Fleance, who was also disturbed by the storm. We crossed the path of Conan. The next morning, King Duncan was found dead in his bed with a stab wound.
So what did you do then?
I didn't know what to do. The likeliest killers were Cawdor or the sons of Duncan. But the sons of Duncan fled straight after their father's body was discovered. Fleance and I fled in a hot air balloon, as I was sure that Cawdor, who'd taken the throne, would have me arrested and put on trial.
Is that all?
All?
Then why, sir, do you not mention this?
Where did you get that?
No, sir. Where did you get that?
I haven't seen that ring since the night of the murder.
And where did you get it then?
It was given to me by the king.
Why did the king think you might like this ring?
He thought I had a taste for glittering baubles. He pressed it on me.
Pressed it on you?
He made it very hard for me to refuse it.
How did you feel when he pressed it on you?
I felt humiliated, sir.
How humiliated?
My pride was sore wounded.
Anything else?
My pride was sore wounded, so I wounded him sore.
So you stabbed him?
Aye.
I think I see how the cards are falling, Watson. Where is Fleance now?
He's at my house in the cellar. I locked him in there before I came to see you.
Sir, you have no right to keep your son in detention. We must to your house presently to free him. Watson, go down to Baker Street and get a cab. We will go to this man's house to see to the freeing of his son. We must come back here, lest the king should come and find we have departed and think we've departed in another case.
My house is near Maidenhead, Mr. Holmes. I feel the justice of what you say. I only wanted to stop him mixing in company, not meat for a man. Besides, I have another son now, for I have remarried. He had a difficult birth, with a forceps delivery.
None born of woman shall harm the king. The king shall never vanquish thee, till great rail and wood, to hide on same hill shall come.
It's all right. I know everything.
Everything?
I know that you, Fleance, killed King Duncan at Dunsinane Castle 10 years ago. And I know you only did it when the king's friendship towards you turned to lust.
As my king was fortunate, I rejoiced in heart. As he was my king, I honoured and obeyed him. But when his friendship turned to licentiousness, I slew him. I struck out with my dagger when he advanced me and recalled me to his chambers. I meant no more than to frustrate him in his pursuit of unusual pleasure. But my blows of sword dart struck home far harder than I intended. He died in an instant. I left him, joined my father, and gave him the diamond ring that the king gave me as a token of his favour. We met Cordell with the water around the castle afterwards. My father gave the ring to him. Said it was a gift for his wife.
Why did you put the text of your play through my door?
My father had always told me I'd be king of Nova Alba. I'd heard the current king was in Rome, trying to clear his name and having murdered Duncan. I knew he passed back through London and guessed he would see a private investigator. I followed him off the boat train to the London hotel, and again, when I saw him spy out your apartment. Afterwards, it was a logical step, place my manuscript into your hands. And my version of events has my father murdered, so no false suspicion might fall upon him.
Why does your father think to become king of Nova Alba?
You'd always talked about meeting these wild women after the Battle of the Norwegians. They foretold Cordell's ascent to the throne and said that my father would be the father of kings.
Sir, I've not had a son. If I had had a son, I could not blame him for acting in the way that he did in those circumstances. And in those circumstances, I would not rule out taking the blame for a crime he committed. We should encourage his interest in poetry, not lock him in the cellar.
I feel the justice of your remarks. What is to happen now?
The case is but half done. I must to London to parley with the king. We shall not spend a large expense of time for explaining to you the matters just seen, and so make us even with you.
Banquo confessed. What made you think his confession false?
While political advancement was the most obvious motive for the crime, it was by no means the only one. There were, in fact, 4 suspects: Donald Bain, Malcolm, Fleance and Banquo. It was Lord Banquo who crossed our path first. Lord Banquo confessed that the play I'd received through our door, that implicated the present king, and we knew from Banquo it had been written by Fleance. A good detective should always explore alternative hypotheses. And when Banquo confessed, I felt I had to ask myself some questions. How likely was King Duncan to make advances on a burly soldier who could defend himself? And how much more likely was he to make such advances to a slender lad who perhaps could not?
So a villain.
How likely was a ring with a glittering stone to appeal to a burly soldier of Banquo's stamp? And how much more likely was it to appeal to a callow youth with a head full of poetry? I had at least test the theory that Banquo's confession was covering for his son. And you saw how readily Fleance was confessed when he was taxed with the crime.
So what will you tell the king?
I think the king will want the trial to go ahead, but he may not want all the matters we've uncovered to come out. Once you find one case of this type at such a senior level in society, you're never sure how many more there are. And it's often hard to find reliable witnesses, let alone a competent judge.
The court of Nova Alba noblemen passed a verdict of not proven against the current king in the murder of Duncan. The not guilty verdict was withheld, as the true killer was never identified. Nevertheless, this was enough for the Pope to come and play a small role in the coronation, hence the story of the Vatican cameos. The king ruled for another 20 years before abdicating to Lulac, Banquo's youngest son, who, after a difficult birth, had grown to a fine young lad. To celebrate the coronation of Lulac, resident in the area for many years, Menhead Borough Council sent a gift of saplings from the famous Burnham beeches up to Dunsinane Castle to place the ones lost in the Second Norwegian invasion. And so, Burnham would really did come to Dunsinane.